In section 2, we're looking at equivalent expressions, but you'll notice that these expressions are a little more plain. There's not as many word problems in here, and also there are parentheses. So we've got to make sure we're being very careful about using the order of operations. So remember, parentheses is one of the first things we have to deal with whenever we're looking at order of operations, but also we need to look at a vocabulary here. So which expression is equivalent to 4b squared minus, in parentheses, 5b minus 6b squared plus 9 plus, in parentheses, 8b minus 1. And the word equivalent means the same. There's actually two ways to answer this question. So let's do the algebraic way. We've got a set of parentheses here. So you've got to make sure that you handle the parentheses as well as anything that's in front of the parentheses. So I'm going to kind of block this section off right here because there's a negative sign in front of those parentheses. We also have another set of parentheses here that we're going to need to deal with. So for the first set of parentheses, there's a minus sign that's in front of them. That minus sign needs to be distributed to every term on the inside of the parentheses. So we're going to take that, and really guys, this means there's a negative 1. Remember, there's always an implied 1. So we're going to distribute a negative 1 to the other terms in the parentheses. So here, I'll have negative 1 times 5, because parentheses mean to multiply. So that's going to turn into negative 5v. And then you also need to distribute the negative 1 to the negative 6. So because there's a minus sign in front of the 6, you're going to treat that as a negative 6. So a negative times a negative 1 times a negative 6, so positive 6v squared. All right, and then we can just drop down the rest of that. So I'll drop down that 4b squared, drop down that plus 9, and then now I've got to look at my other set of parentheses, and in this case there is a implied 1 in front of the parentheses, but since it's just a regular positive 1, we don't need to do anything with it, so we can drop that down as well. So we'll just have plus 8b minus 1. All right, so now we're going to look for our like terms. Let's do green. How about that? All right, so my first term that I see in the line, and I usually just start at the first, like read from left to right and collect like terms as I go. So this is 4v squared. What we're looking for is another v to the power of 2, or v squared, which looks like I've got one of those right here. So I've got 4, positive 4 over here, plus 6 over here. So 4 plus 6 is going to give me 10v squared. And right away, I should see that that takes off 2 of my answer choices. All right, and now we're going to look for, we have a negative 5v. So notice anytime you're getting like terms, you need to collect the sign in front of it. So here's a negative 5v. I'm looking for another term that has a v. There's a 9. There we go. Plus 8v. So negative 5 plus 8. I'm going to check that in my calculator. All right, so we're going to do negative 5, and then it's a positive 8, so plus 8 is equal to 3. So that's going to be plus 3v. And then last but not least, I've got a +9 and a -1. So that's 9 minus 1, which is going to be a +8. So the final solution there should be letter A. Okay, so feel free to watch that video as many times as you need to, ask questions if you need to. I'm going to also record this video again with a calculator method you can use. And once you think you have an idea of how to handle this, you are going to complete the practice questions for section 2. And I believe you need to get 3 out of 4 correct in order to move on.